now, and in a second, it always says prepare. And then there's like this little delay. And so it's kind of funny because it throws me. So it doesn't start quite exactly right. So it's all good though. So we'll just get started. So,
Great.
anyways, here we are. Okay. So, welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're here. You are going to be so glad you're here. I'm Kim Sorrelle. I speak, I write, I get to do so many fun things in life, but my favorite thing to do by far is to meet people. And I get to meet some extraordinary people. And today I have Kelly on my show. And Kelly and I are kindred spirits, whether we want to be or not, kind of by default. And that's not always the way you want it to happen, but it's still a beautiful thing that we are this way. I've not met anybody until now meeting Kelly that has gone through a similar story that I went through to be, I was diagnosed with cancer and then my husband was at the same time and passed away. Kelly's husband was ALS, and then she was diagnosed with cancer while her husband was going through ALS and he passed away. So it's just kind of crazy, but you are going to love Kelly and you're going to see what resilience and how she can smile after going through everything she's gone through. So here we're going to get into it. Kelly, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, well, I'm so happy to have you. Kelly, I want people to get to know you and know what your dreams were, what you thought life was going to be. So tell me a little bit about 8-year-old Kelly.
8-year-old Kelly. I was the youngest of three children. Um, my parents were so inspirational to all of us, and my brother and sister as well. They're 10 and 12 years older than me. So I used to love to like follow them around, hang out with their friends. Little did they expect that they were going to be babysitting me instead of going on dates and everything. They're so as they got older. But I always loved sports, played a lot of sports with my brother and my dad. Um, I was a very studious student in school, loved school, never wanted to miss a day. Um, Probably a little boy crazy too when I was younger. And I actually met my husband in high school. And after we met, we were introducing, just kind of talking about the schools we went to. And little did we know that we went to all of the same schools from kindergarten on.
What?
Um, yes, Jason was a
Oh,
year older than me. And he lived like half a mile down the street from me.
oh,
But I just had never met him until we were in high school. So it was kind of
oh
funny
my-
that all of that came out. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. So what grade were you at? How old were you when you actually met then?
I was 15, a sophomore, and he was a junior, and we met actually in the library.
Oh,
He was in the library and came up to me and asked to borrow some paper, and I was like, "You're in the library without paper? Like, how are you going to study and take notes?" So,
goodness. Was that
yep,
his way of meeting you, asking
yeah,
for
maybe it
paper?
was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Very sly, very sly.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you started going out then?
Yeah, so we started dating. Like our first date was January 22nd, 1988. And we our favorite pastime was like going to the movies, playing miniature golf, went to a couple concerts. Um, he he and I both were, focused on school, focused on our jobs. We dated for about 3 years prior to my family uprooting, um, uprooting from Lindenhurst, where I grew up, and wanting to move to Vegas. And by that time, I was a freshman in college, and I was like, I don't want to leave Jason. I've been with him for 3 years. So they actually we're like, okay, well, you can live with grandma. So I moved back here, lived with my grandma, and then, uh, life carried on. So it was great
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
was able, we didn't have to do long distance for more than a summer.
Oh,
So
well, that's good. It was a long summer,
yeah,
I bet.
it was a long summer. He came out and visited. He never had flown before. He was deathly afraid of flying, but he did it because he wanted to come out and see me. So
Oh,
it was great. Yeah.
oh, that's so sweet. So did
Yeah.
you get married right after school or how did that work?
We got married So in 1995, we had been dating by like 7 years by then, and my father had passed away on the same day as the Oklahoma City bombing,
Oh,
and 2 weeks before my college graduation as well. So a lot was happening there. Jason was my rock, just supporting me through all of that. And so he proposed later that year in December, and I wanted a winter wedding, so we set the date for February 22nd, 1997, and we definitely had a winter wedding.
yeah.
Lots of snow that day.
Well, perfect.
Yeah,
Wow, holy cow, your dad,
yeah,
before you graduated. And, that's when you really find out the character of somebody. Like for you to call him your rock, like
yeah.
you either separate during times like that or you bond. And in a way, it like speeds up your relationship when you go through a hard time together. And it sounds like that's what happened with you.
Yes, I could always lean on him. He was always like the calmer one in the relationship. I was kind of like a hothead, and I'd get, spazzy, and he would keep me grounded. Yeah,
Yeah.
he definitely made me a better person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It had to be hard to not have your dad at your wedding.
Yes, it was. It was very hard. And he had had heart disease, like, he was diagnosed with heart disease at like age 35, and he passed away at age 55. So,
Way too young.
yeah, but
Yeah.
still, I think I was naive. I always thought he'd be here forever. Didn't realize, that his heart was just getting worse and worse over time.
Yeah. 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 That's tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then here you go. Your married
Yep.
journey. Yeah.
Married. Yep. We really enjoyed life before kids. Loved it afterwards as too. But I mean, we wanted to focus on our career. So this is another thing. So we both, after high school, we both went to the same junior college and the same undergrad. And then we both went to the same graduate school too, and we both studied accounting. So
Oh, wow.
we really were soulmates.
I guess so.
And yeah, so we focused on grad school, um, did vacations like to visit, like my mom out in Nevada, and my brother lived out there too. My sister lived in Iowa. So we did a lot of family trips, family vacations, camping with our friends, just got as much fun in as we could. And then 5 years into our marriage, or 4 years into the marriage, I was pregnant with our first child. We didn't want to know the sex, so we both were in agreement with that. And then we were, surprised when Madeline came along on February 5th, 2002. And oh my gosh, he was such a proud father. It was just so amazing to see him with her.
So he was like an
Just
immediately a girl dad.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Oh my gosh, yes. And we named her Madeline, but he always called her Maddie, and I always called her Madeline. And even to this day, I still say Madeline. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, he was just a
so
very
sweet.
proud dad. Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
then 2 years later, then we had our son Mitch. Now, see, that's funny because his full name is Mitchell, but I always call him Mitch. So he's got the nickname, but Madeline.
Yeah.
But yes, and that
Yeah.
was fun. It was we didn't find out, that Mitch was going to be a boy either, so we were surprised with both. And both kids just we are so blessed. They grew up to be such wonderful people. Never
Mhm.
gave us any trouble growing up. It just yeah, it's just
Good.
we're blessed. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so
Mhm.
good. That's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So life's floating along, and here you are. You got two kids, a boy and a girl, perfect American family, right? And
Yes.
so then what happened? When did the curveball come?
Yeah. So, in 2015, Jason started showing symptoms. I didn't recognize them at first, but he had a little bit of slurred speech, and then his hand was cramping. Like I wouldn't really notice that, but my family had, like my sister and her husband had said, "Is everything okay with Jason. He seems to be slurring his speech, and I was shocked. I hadn't really noticed it. And I don't know, when you're with somebody all the time, maybe that's something that you just overlook, or maybe I made a comment one time about it, but never really thought anything about it. And I asked him, like, do you feel different? And he said, yeah, I do. I think I'm going to go to the doctor. So he had gone to the doctor, just his regular, general practitioner, who then referred him to a neurologist in town here. So, I mean, just a town or two over, not like Chicago, not a big hospital, but went there and they diagnosed him with something called focal dystonia, which is like a speech impediment type thing that isn't totally alarming, so we were like, oh, thank goodness it's that, and it'll either stay the same or it'll go away on its own. And then progressively he was getting worse. And he had just started training for his first marathon. He was going to run the Chicago Marathon in October of 16. So his body was under a lot of stress as well. He would run when it was, 95 degrees out, and I would be paranoid at home, just, he wouldn't take his phone, it was too much weight to carry. I'm like, what? So, yeah, so the kids or I would either follow him around his routes and hand him water or whatever. But he finished the marathon in October, and then he went back for another checkup, and they said the same thing. Like, okay, it looks to be the same thing. And then in February, he followed up again and said, no, really, I am having more cramping now in my legs. They did an EMG. Why they didn't do one before, I'm not sure. But that doctor said, it was actually a different doctor at that office that diagnosed him and said, I think this is ALS. And Jason was by himself when he went there. I was not
Oh,
with him.
oh,
So he called me at work, and yeah, he said he was quite upset, and he said they think it's ALS. And right away I was like, Lou Gehrig's disease? Like, I didn't really know much about it. We had the ice bucket challenge like 2 years before, and you do those things, but you don't really understand, like, or you understand what it is, but you don't know all the symptoms and what the diagnosis or what the prognosis is with ALS, that it's a terminal disease, no cure. So I ended up meeting him somewhere. I'm like, let's meet at the mall and talk about this. And the kids were at school, and they were at two different schools. And yeah, we were devastated. So we both acted like everything was fine from then on with work and friends and family. Um, the kids, we didn't tell them. Jason went for a second opinion at Northwestern in Chicago, and they confirmed it. Then he went for a third opinion to University of Chicago. They confirmed it. And then we decided that it'd be best for him to be treated at Northwestern. So that was the plan. And Jason didn't want anybody to know.
mm.
So that was 2017 in
So how old were
February,
the kids at that time?
12 and 15.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was really weird because my sister had come into town shortly after that. For some reason, I don't know why, but she could tell something was off. Like I looked like I just, swallowed a canary or whatever the phrase is, like
Yeah.
I was, and I immediately started losing weight because I couldn't eat or anything. And again, like I said, we'd go to work, act like, oh, everything's fine. I'd get in the car and I'd like cry all the way home,
Mhm.
and pick up the kids. And then, but by March, I finally had I broke down and I told my brother and sister-in-law, because I was visiting them for spring break with the kids, and they're like, what is going on? They just kept asking me, what is going on? Something's going on. You're really thin. And so I told them, and then they told my sister, and then we all talked and kind of had a plan, because you can't keep something like that internal. And I think Jason understood that I had to talk to somebody, because I can't take care of him when the time comes if I'm, a basket case and don't have, I need to be able to talk to somebody. So
No kidding. You need the support. I mean, that's what's so hard. Like when you said you didn't want to tell anybody, it's like, well, buddy, that's great. You don't want anyone to know, but you're involved too. He's not going through it alone. And you can't go through it alone. You need the support. So it's good. I'm sure it felt good to tell somebody and
It
get some
did.
support. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
did. And it wasn't like I needed to reach out to like a third, an external, like counseling or anything. I mean, the clinic had resources that we could talk to. So, but we waited to tell the kids until October.
Mm.
And that is because he retired, or maybe it was the end of September. He retired in September from work. So that he could spend, because he could still, walk and talk fine and everything, but he wanted to be able to enjoy the time that he had left. And we had just gotten a dog like 6 months before. And so he palled around with the dog while we were at work and school and would take her on long walks. And when we finally told the kids, um, they were pretty upset. I don't think they understood. I mean, they were upset because we said this is terminal, but they didn't like understand what was really going to happen,
Mm.
like the phases kind of, and everyone's journey with ALS is different.
Yeah.
You don't know if you've got, they say the average lifespan's 2 to 5 years. So you don't know, is it next
What
year? I
out of
mean,
that you're on. Exactly. Right. Right.
yeah, I mean, I've met so many people since Jason has passed with, my advocacy work with IMALS who, people that only, have it for a year or people that have had it 22 years. So you just don't know. But Jason continued to train for his second marathon and ran it and finished it actually in a slightly better time even than his first time.
Um,
So that was September of 17. And then in 2018, he was still pretty active. Um, but then in 2019, it was really hard for him to walk without somebody spotting him just to be by him. He had a cane, which sometimes the canes with something like that, they're actually more of a hindrance, it seems like, for him, because you go to lean on it and it's moving on you. Um, but we had his mom come because he fell. He fell when I was on a soccer trip with Mitchell, and Madeline was working, but she was staying home with him. I mean, she was home with him, but she was working that evening, and Jason fell in the bathroom, and his phone was in our bedroom, and he literally had to crawl to get his phone,
mm,
knock it off the chair, and then call her. So at that point, it was horrible. He was crying. He said Piper, our dog, was like licking him, and it was just awful. But Madeline came home. And then from that day on, we had Jason's mom come during the day while we were all at school and work. And so she could kind of supervise him, and
yeah.
make
Help
sure
out.
he didn't fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he started using a walker. We decided that the walker was best by then. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's just like it kind of plateaus for a while sometimes. Then all of a sudden a sharp, just, okay, now this is the new norm now. Dad's using a walker and he needs assistance.
Yeah.
Um, and then COVID came. So COVID came and Jason was, getting worse. And then at that point, we decided to have a caregiver. We hired a caregiver to come 8 to 5 every day, because we didn't want Jason's mom to get exposed either to, going back and forth.
Mhm.
And so we had a caregiver, and that was great. And I was working from home. So I was here, but I couldn't keep an eye on him 24/7, or, 8 to 5 per se every minute. And then in early 2021, we got the vaccine was available to everybody. So we all got our COVID vaccines if you wanted. And I had my annual checkup for my mammogram. And sure enough, I got a letter. Actually, before I even got the letter that comes like a week later, I saw something pop up in my chart
Mm.
and it said, like irregular, something, and there was like measurements like 2.4 to 1.7. And I'm like, what is this? And everybody that I talked to was like, don't worry, it's probably, dense tissue. I get called back all the time, like, oh, I never do. And so I went back and I was by myself and they did another mammogram and then an ultrasound. And as they're doing the ultrasound, I'm hearing her click, like measuring, like, that sound. It's not the happy sound when they're measuring your baby in your tummy in an ultrasound. It's this, and I'm like, what do you, sounds like you're measuring something. And she said, oh, don't worry, the radiologist will come back in here. And sure enough, they found a mass and then we had to do a biopsy. And I was traveling to University of Tennessee where our daughter was attending school and they planned to call me there. And they called me there. We had a day, and when I saw, Lake Forest Hospital or Northwestern Hospital on my phone, okay, my sister-in-law was with my daughter and we got the news. I had breast cancer.
Mm.
And I actually, if I step back, I was a wreck when they were, when they said that when they found the mass, because I just was like, this can't be happening. My children, they have a terminally ill father with ALS. How can I have breast cancer? Why is this happening? And so when they called me, they said, you have the most common kind. Um, and it's the most treatable, and this will be a bump in the road. And I said, I have no, uh, I have no other choice than to believe you. But this is going to be
Right.
a bump in the road. I am not going to, okay, I mean, I'm going to stress, but I'm not going to stress about this as much as I probably would if this other stuff wasn't happening in our life, you
Mm.
know.
Right.
And Jason was really upset, he was really scared because I'm sure he too was obviously scared for me, but scared for him as well. What will happen if
Right.
this goes bad? And, who's going to take care of him?
Yeah.
um, and the kids.
Mm.
So, one good thing that Jason did is after he was diagnosed, we put everything into a trust. We did the living wills, my sister and my brother were both going to be guardians of the kids. So all of that was like a relief that that was done
Mm.
if, we needed that.
Mm.
Um, but I did not have to have chemo. I just had to have surgery. Oh, and that was another thing too. Because I had had the COVID vaccine, my lymph nodes were extra swollen
Mm.
because it was on the same side as the vaccine. And so they removed some lymph nodes. There were some tiny cells in there, but like the second lymph node had none. So they felt confident that they got it all. And then I had clean margins. And then I just had radiation for like 4.5 weeks.
Mm.
So, ended right on my birthday.
Oh,
So
yeah. 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 What
I
is,
was 48.
yeah. Such a,
Mm,
how old were you?
48.
48. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's scary. No matter what, curing cancer is scary. And not because you don't know. I mean, you only know what you know. And a lot of times it doesn't end well. And you know that from family and friends and whatever. And so, yeah, very scary moment. And to have to go through that. And, and then it's not like he's completely healthy to help you through it. So here you are, you're having to be extra strong when you already had to be strong. That is not an easy thing. But you got through the surgery, you got through the radiation, and yeah, praise the
And
Lord.
he,
It's
and
good.
at the same time, this wasn't an emergency, but our son Mitch had to have knee surgery. He had some weird, of course, like this, like what is some weird kneecap thing, bipartella. I'm just like,
Oh,
oh my gosh. And it hurt for him to walk, and he was a soccer player. So they had to go in and remove that. So he had his surgery like the week after I had mine. So both of us were kind of we couldn't lift Jason independently. I wasn't supposed to lift anything and he couldn't really put any pressure. It was like the blind leading the blind, literally. It's
Yeah.
just, I know it was
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh my.
Um, but, but yes, it does, does teach you, you are a stronger person. You've got, compassion for each other. I mean, the kids, they ended up being caregivers at too young of an age, I mean, really. And Mitch did it all. I mean, I did it all, but I mean, Mitch was allowed to, take him to the bathroom and stuff, whereas Jason didn't want like Madeline to, you
Right.
know, do that kind of thing. But they both were really good about, giving him his meds, um, help feeding him. Actually, if Madeline was going to feed him, Jason would always say, "Where's my bib?" She's still like on him all the time. He kept his sense of humor throughout the entire disease. He was so funny. Like, I kind of like, I don't like a lot of lights on. Like, I like the natural light, but he would always say, "Put the light on in our bedroom." And I'm like, "It's fine. We've got daylight." And he's like, "It's my son. Put the light on." Okay, okay, okay. So yeah,
So
he
funny.
if I just kind of felt, look what he's facing. This is, yeah, this is going to be a bump in the road,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um and that, yeah, so that ended, so that my journey with breast cancer, all of my treatments, that ended in the summer of 21. And Jason was also then put on hospice, in-home hospice. So they worked with the hospital care partners there. So we not only had our caregiver that was there, but we'd have hospice that would come. And, that was great because they had, the CNA that would help come bathe him, the nurse, of course. Um, there was like music therapy. We both enjoyed that when they'd come. Somebody would play the guitar. There was a
Yeah.
chaplain that would come, a social worker. Um, so, because I really think Jason needed someone else to talk to as
Mm.
well. Just even if it
Sure.
was, Jason's a huge Bears fan, Chicago Bears, as painful as that is, but like he needed other guys to talk to about that as well, because the kids were both busy. Madeline was at school and, Mitch was busy at school. And, but yeah, all the paperwork, applying for colleges, all that work kind of fell on me. I mean, the kids did their applications, but Jason would say he would get depressed. I mean, while he had a great attitude and his humor and stuff, but he would get depressed. He'd say like, I'm done. I'm done with this." And I'd say, "You can still parent from that bed. You still can help make decisions. We are co-parenting. This is not, I'm
Mm.
tired of making all the decisions,
Mm.
I need some help. So
Yeah.
you're here, you're going to help. And the kids will love you all the more for it." So,
That's right. That's right.
mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So going through all of that and then just whatever, the disease progressed. I mean, that's what happens, right?
Yes, and he was eventually, yeah, basically from the end of 2020 until he passed March 11th of 2023, he was bedridden. We could pivot, we could pick him up and put him in a wheelchair and then take him like to the bathroom, but he like that was it. And really the last 2 years, he didn't even want to sit in a chair. You'd have to really prop him up, and we did not do research into getting like a motorized wheelchair. Jason wasn't interested in that. He kind of was very private. Like I said, he didn't want to tell anybody. Our friends didn't know for years.
Mm.
And most of his friends we didn't really see all the time anyways, because they didn't live right by us. I mean, he had work friends and stuff, but you know what I mean, like his best friends, childhood friends. And then my best friend, I just acted like everything was fine. And when I finally told her, she was like, you know,
Right, right,
"Why
right.
didn't you?" Yeah,
Oh,
shame on me.
oh,
Um, but yeah, so he could still talk at the end. It was very slurred, but you could still understand him.
which is amazing because quite often that's not the case. So,
Right. And we thought with him having a speech issue at the beginning that he was going to have present in the bulbar. There's like bulbar or limb onset, and bulbar usually affects your speech and your breathing first. before your limbs. Like you might walk through it and then, but he was able, fortunately, to continue to talk. So, yeah, so he had lost a lot of weight too. He was probably down to about 80 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, so that, it is so hard, as you've witnessed your soulmate um, go through something horrible like that too.
Yeah. 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 Well, it is hard. It's tough. And it's like, you know that something's going to happen at some moment in time, right? But you don't
Yeah,
know what that moment is. And
right.
and so, I remember with my husband, they're pancreatic cancer and they're like, well, you're young and healthy and you'll live a year, probably more. And so I'm trying to make plans. Well, what about for your birthday? Maybe we could go do something, which was months away, or next Christmas weekend. And it was 6 weeks.
Oh
And who
my
knew it would
gosh.
be 6 weeks, right? And with you, you had no idea. Like you said,
Right.
you get this
Hmm.
diagnosis. You don't know, a year, 5 years. You
Hmm.
have no idea how long it's going to
Right.
be. And day to day, you don't know.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then it happens. And yeah. And then I found too, tell me if you found the same thing. Like I found that I you have this time to prepare, kind of,
Hmm.
but you don't want to think about it either.
Right. Hmm.
And so when the moment happened, it's not like it was easier because I knew it was coming. Did you face
Right.
the same
Yes, my
kind of experience?
sister, yeah, my sister and her husband had come into town because I said by the week that he passed on a Friday night, Saturday morning. But by like Tuesday, it was not looking good. So I had told Madeline to fly home. And then my sister and her husband came here because I was like, I don't want to be by myself, when this happens. And when it happened, and the doctor, or the nurse came from hospice to confirm, Jason didn't have a pulse anymore. I like lost it. Yeah, I think it was just, all that time, right? And then for the next few weeks, I cried and cried and cried all the time. And then it got a little bit better and now I don't cry as much at all, even talking about it. And I think it's because I don't know why. Like I was grieving for 6 years during that too,
Right,
we went
right.
through so much and so many emotions. And I have a hard time though when I'm talking to, like in some of our groups, sometimes when I'm listening to somebody who's really struggling with speech, it's just really fresh and raw. And that really gets me because it's like it's him again. I'm picturing him again,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
no kidding. So how old were you? How old were the kids? How old was
So when Jason passed, he passed 2 weeks before his 52nd birthday. So he was 51. I was 50, and my kids were 21 and 19,
wow,
18. Yeah.
wow. Yeah. So
Um,
they had years of this is
yes.
life of,
Right.
knowing their
Yeah.
dad's gonna go, not knowing when. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We did, not knowing, I'm so glad that we did do a lot of trips with the kids. Our daughter was involved in a choir. So we traveled to Europe twice with the kids. We did do Disney World with the kids. So which those are sometimes hot places to go.
Mhm.
Um, so I was glad that we had those family memories. And Jason was always the jokester of the family. And my brother and sister and I are so close. And their spouses are just like a brother and sister to us. And Jason, we did a lot of stuff together. We made a lot of memories. Jason was involved in the family since he was 16.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
he grew up with all of
That's
us.
right. That's
Um,
right. Wow.
so
Wow. Yeah.
yeah,
So then, but then you get to do with it what you want, right? Like everybody
yeah,
gets to decide. You go through something, you figure out what you're going to do with it, one thing that you decided to do with it was to help out with ALS.
Yes, yes, because I did not get involved in any organizations while Jason was battling the disease because I was just focusing on him and the kids. So afterwards, I joined this bereavement group through our the clinic, Les Turner, out here in Skokie, and I met a friend from New York who I've become great friends with now. And she said in 2024, she's like, "Hey, IMALS is having this annual gathering in DC. Do you want to go with me?" I said, "Sure." So I went. It was a wonderful experience. I saw what this organization did, and it was different than I've ever experienced before. I mean, this patient-led, volunteer-based organization that is just making so many strides, like with um, awareness. There's 6,000 flags on on the mall in Washington, on the National Mall in Washington, raising awareness. There's speeches, there's panelists, there's so much to get involved with. So when I came back, I was like, wow, I really want to be a part of this organization. And so I joined and the community outreach group and I was just so impressed. I mean, like weekly meetings. I mean, whether you can participate every week or not, they're there, they're set. It's just very structured. These
Mm.
people take it like a job. And I still work full time. So I try to balance a lot of my advocacy with work. Obviously, work comes first.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, I mean, it is such a great organization. And now I'm the co-chair for the community outreach team. I'm a peer mentor. I'm paired with a caregiver right now who's going through, or her husband's going through ALS. Um, and yeah, I've set up a fund, the Jason Goodman Memorial Fund through IMALS to try to, raise money. I've pledged that, I'm going to donate to this because I think this organization is the one that's going to move the needle.
That's so good. Yeah. Yeah. Because we need a cure. There's no doubt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we are so close to getting this bill passed right now through the Senate, the Act for ALS, where $500 million will be, the government will spend 500 million over the next 5 years on critical research, um, um, expanded access programs for patients who normally wouldn't make a trial. Now they can have access to that trial. They haven't timed out of it. If you don't have symptoms, if your symptoms started longer than 18 months or 2 years ago, a lot of times you can't get in a trial. So there's a lot of opportunities and we need all those samples and testing and even if a drug fails, then we know, okay, move on. We don't need to waste time on that anymore.
Right.
So
Right.
as many
Exactly.
participants in these trials, it'll help the community overall because 5 to 6,000 people a year are diagnosed with ALS. And it's been 85 years since Lou Gehrig passed away, and we're not much further.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I have a son who is a researcher, a medical cancer researcher. And yeah, so I know that it is so hard and funding is so hard. And you have these brilliant people that are doing research, but they have to spend half their time writing grant proposals and trying to raise money. And if the money could just be there and let the people do the research, like we would be farther ahead with everything. But because it doesn't work that way, the money isn't just automatic. Yet they have to apply for it and get it. And it's just a
Yeah.
hard situation. It'd be nice if things could change. And so I'm
Yeah.
so excited about the bill that you have and getting that money would be amazing. So is there anything people can do to help that along? Like call a senator, call somebody or what?
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, for sure. So on the IMALS webpage, you can search for reauthorize Act for ALS, and there'll be a link in there. And basically, there's a letter that's already filled out. You put in your name and your address, and then that triggers who your senators are. It knows, okay. Um, it will automatically send to those senators that are in that you're a constituent for in that district. So it literally takes less than a minute. Um, And yeah, so because the bill is up for reauthorization September 30th, so we're getting down to the wire now. And wow, what a process that is on getting a bill passed. I've never been this close to following something, and it's crazy how
Yeah,
long it
yeah,
takes.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
It's a
and
slow
you,
turn machine.
yeah, you need co-sponsors and and everything. And when you said your son is a researcher, did he go into that because of you?
Yeah,
Like,
because
did
of me and
he?
my husband. Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
because of
Oh,
us. Yeah, yeah, he did.
wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
and he,
great.
yeah, and he's done great, and he had some great success with things, but everything is slow. Research
Everything
is tough, and right, and then the money. It just all of it is just it's a hard go, and
is. Mhm.
lots of great brains working at it though too. So
Oh, yes.
hopefully something wonderful will happen, and
Yeah.
somebody,
I
be a breakthrough and find a cure for ALS and for everything else that's out there. But ALS is a tough one for sure. And so it's so needed. So yeah, so I will make sure that we put the link out there for people so they can just
thank you.
click on the link and then go do the letter. And everybody just please just go do it and get it to your senator so they know that you're behind it because you elected them. So they need to vote the way you want them to vote. So yeah,
Exactly. Oh,
tell
Kim,
your
that would be
friends.
great. I'll
Yeah,
send you the information because yeah, that will be that'll be so amazing because yes, so many in our ALS community, we've reached, I mean, our legislative affairs committee has worked tirelessly on getting co-sponsors for the bill. We've got like 75 out of 405 reps co-signed the bill. I mean, that doesn't happen without, the hard work of people just getting in front of, you know, our elected officials and sending all the emails and because we need all the states represented. So yeah, definitely I would
yeah,
appreciate that. And there's a resurgence of the ice bucket challenge. So even if you see it on someone's socials, maybe share it, do one yourself, just I'm all about awareness. I'm like, the more people that know about it, the faster we'll get to a cure.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Great things that people can do. And I'll make sure that I push them, like I said. And yeah, so I'll be looking forward to getting the information. And I know that you're out of time, and this has been great. Thank you for sharing your story. And I am ALS. I got to know a bit because we did with Stacy Lauren. We did this week-long challenge, and then that ended uh, in a fundraiser. And so that was great. And and I were both there for that, and that's how we met. And
Yeah.
so it's a great organization. If anybody's looking for an organization to get involved in, that's one that is really a great one to get involved in. And so, yeah, thank you for all that you do for them. Thank you that the organization exists and is doing all that they're doing. It's wonderful that that's happening. So, yeah, so thanks for all you do.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for being a medium for our voice about this and for all the important work that you do, all the philanthropy. It's just amazing. You are an inspiration,
Well,
Kim.
I feel the same about you. You are an inspiration because you're
Oh,
you're doing it. You're keeping your husband's legacy alive in a beautiful, beautiful way. So it's a wonderful
oh,
thing.
thank you.
Yeah,
His,
yeah.
his mantra was be kind, work hard, and make a difference. And so the kids and I try to do that every day.
I love
So,
it. I love it. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Well, thanks so much for telling your story. Thanks for talking about IMALS so people can get involved and yeah, thanks for being so open and
thank
willing to
you.
share. Yeah, yeah.
I
And we'll get
appreciate it.
together, you and me. Sometime we're gonna
Yeah,
get together. Yeah, it'll be great.
definitely. We'll stay in touch.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And thank you everybody for listening. And if you know somebody that this episode would be great for, please send them the link, pass it along and subscribe and do I'll put the links in. So make sure that you go to the links and get the letters written and do the things, the ice bucket challenge, whatever you can do. I just appreciate you so much for being there. And I just want to say that until we see each other again, I just pray that you keep your heart open and you live your love loud. There we go.